It's been about 4 months since I've had the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. I've given you some videos on it and I've given you a review on it. What I want to do today is, after 4 months of actual usage of this device, to kind of update you on the review to see if things have changed. And the long and short of it is, things have changed slightly. So first of all, the iPad Pro, like I said in the review, still incredibly fast. I mean, it's really, really quick. It's one of the fastest, if not the fastest, iOS device I've ever used. But do I really need it? I mean, the use cases that I use this for, mostly to browse the web, social media, a lot of FaceTime communications, both audio and video chats, as well as Netflix. I thought that once I had a mobile iPad, a mobile iOS device I should say, in the form of this iPad, that I would actually be using the device more for more creative functions, whether that be writing, whether that be studying, whether that be video editing. And we'll get to video editing a little bit later. But it seems like after this amount of time, I've kind of gone back to using this device mostly for consumption, again, browsing, social media, and FaceTime. And that kind of then creates the MacBook Air being my more production device, whether that again is writing or video editing or just doing work in general. So do I really need that speed? I think the answer to that is no. And I think that's kind of the big change or the big update in my review from the original review that I gave you to now this more practical review after using the device for so long. So one thing I'll say, I talked about it in the review of the device, the True Tone display. It's something that was really hyped and was something that was really interesting to me and was a really great feature when I first reviewed the device. 4 months later, it's something that when I'm using the device, I don't think about it. I don't think, wow, this is great, this looks amazing. But when I switch over to using my non-retina laptop or even my iPhone 6s, I do realize the difference, and it's something that will definitely have to come to other iOS and Apple products, and it's something that I really, really like, and that hasn't changed. I guess the other big thing too that was kind of a subtle improvement, but one I was really interested and excited about a couple months ago, was the fact that there are 4 stereo speakers. Again, I'm still very happy with this. It's still a significant improvement over the 3rd generation iPad before it, and even the iPad Air 2, which is the closest comparison device. But it still has room to improve. One thing that I'll say I'm disappointed in that I didn't really notice as much back when I first reviewed the device is battery life. Now, battery life, it's still rated at 10 hours of usage. You'll probably get around that amount. Pragmatically, I think one issue is that I just use the device more because it's faster than the 3rd generation iPad, so it seems like I'm recharging it all the time. But I think that I would have been better served going after an iPad that had the best battery life. Again, we talked earlier about the speed that it seems like I don't really need. I probably would have been better served getting a mobile tablet that didn't have quite as much performance, but actually had improved battery life and had maybe the most battery life you could get, which it seems like is the Air 2. So that's something that has definitely changed since the original review. Some things I'll note. This is a great device if you're using things like the Apple Pencil, but I'm not using things like the Apple Pencil. I realize I don't really use the iPad to edit video. One thing that I was really excited about, alright, I'll get the iPad Pro, I'll even get the 128 gigabyte variety, and that way I'll be able to use my iPad to edit and record video, and it's something that I could then take away from my laptop and something that I could use more on iOS. There's a couple reasons why this hasn't really been a workflow that I like. Maybe it's because I didn't buy the camera connection kit. So the way I'm recording this on my HD camera right now, I couldn't connect that to my iPad and edit from there. So that means that basically all the videos that I would edit have to be captured on the device. I think that the camera on here is very, very good, 12 megapixel 4K recording, mentioned that in the review video, but I still think this is a cumbersome way to capture video. I think it just looks weird. I also think that it's not as easy to just mount on a tripod and talk to you, so for YouTube videos it's not nearly as convenient. The iPad Pro review, the original one, was filmed at a weird angle because I had just propped up this device on some books that I had, so it's not optimal for that. So there's also, of course, the problem of editing. It's just not nearly as easy. when I'm using my finger to edit with a limited editing suite in the iMovie application on iOS, it just wasn't as easy. I realized that significantly when I made the Okeechobee live review that I edited on my iPhone, and I also noticed it even on the iPad Pro when I was editing the original iPad Pro video. iMovie on iOS just isn't as refined. There are some things that are just very cumbersome to do, and even just having to do everything with your finger is cumbersome. So maybe it's the camera connection kit that I don't have, maybe it's the fact that I'm not using an Apple Pencil, but it just doesn't seem really worth it. You know, I also still find myself using my MacBook Air for taking notes. So again, the big things that I'm doing that I kind of wanted this to replace, note-taking, research, work, a little bit of work, and doing video editing is something that I still find myself doing on my 2013 MacBook Air. And the other thing too is for law school exams, I can't use this device even if I had a keyboard because there's no iOS app for the exam software. So it's another feature where, at least that last one I knew going in, so I'm not surprised with that, but it's just the overarching comment I'm trying to make here is that I was very, very interested in using the iPad Pro and its power to replace my laptop for a lot of use cases. And I did do that when I originally got it and then use that to record the original review. But now that time has gone by, I realized the workflow is just easier, faster, and more convenient to use a full-fledged MacBook Air as opposed to the mobile device. So overall, I just don't think iOS, even with improvements, you know, such as some multitasking, such as picture-in-picture video, which I actually really like to have, I just don't think iOS is ready to replace and take over in the mobile productivity space. I don't think that it's ready to replace OS X on a laptop. I think upon looking back, although I do like this tablet, for the use cases that I've described, and for if you're similar in terms of what you think are going to be using your iPad for, I think I would have been better served with getting the Air 2. It's cheaper, it has improved battery life over the iPad Pro, and then maybe if I wanted to get a new Retina MacBook Pro later in the year, I would have had some cash left over to do that. But I still think, I'm kind of changing my tune a little bit in the fact that I just think that the iPad Air 2 might be the best tablet in Apple's lineup for most users now. Certainly there are power users, you know, if you want to draw, if you enjoy playing the latest and greatest iOS games, if you want to edit videos in iOS and you're already comfortable with the basic editing functionalities that you'll get with iMovie or even other editing suites, then the iPad Pro is better. But I think for most people who are just consuming media, browsing, I think the Air 2 is a better purchase. So this whole video, I just want to explain my reasons and rationales, but at the end of the day, although I think the iPad Pro has great improvements, I think that the Air 2 is actually the best purchase for most users. So, you know, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section below. Do you have an iPad Pro? Do you have an iPad Air 2? Do you not have an iPad and think iPads are a waste of money? I'd love to hear your feedback and what you have to say on the topic. Thanks for watching.